So, on the Raw after WrestleMania, Vince McMahon announced that there will be a, quote, superstar shakeup, which is essentially a series of trades that will happen regarding the SmackDown and Raw divisions of WWE. And this was just coming off after he had announced that Kurt Angle was general manager of Monday Night Raw, which was awesome. And there were a lot of speculations throughout this week. It wasn't really much who's leaving or who's going, not all these other guys. It's more like, is AJ Styles leaving? Because a lot of people didn't want to see AJ Styles go, especially to the Roman Reigns show, pretty much. And a lot of people wanted Sami Zayn to go to SmackDown because they felt like he'll have a better opportunity there. And then there was reports coming out, and it didn't talk about much about the draft, about the switches until like around Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday this week. But the word was that Roman Reigns and AJ Styles would switch brands. Now, I was mixed about this. I didn't want AJ Styles to go, but since Roman Reigns would be moving to SmackDown, I thought, okay, if he moves to SmackDown, that means AJ Styles has a chance to pick up where he left off with SmackDown, and this time on Raw. But the other thing is, Roman Reigns, while is, quote, popular with the fans, according to Vince's stupidity, there's a chance the SmackDown writers could do better with Reigns. They could either make him an interesting face, or they could just do what they did with the Usos and have balls and turn him heel. Since, SmackDown seems to be more independent from Vince McMahon's vision. Yeah. Unfortunately, that did not happen because on the following nights, AJ Styles said that he wanted to stay on SmackDown, and then it got reported that it might not happen. So, and from what we saw from both Raw and SmackDown, it didn't happen. Now let's get into it. I'm going to talk about the list of the cast who are moving to Raw and SmackDown and discuss their potential of being on this other brand. Starting off with the first guy announced, Apollo Crews. He was announced prior to Raw via social media. What else is there for him? Like, he was doing something on SmackDown, barely. Like, the closest thing we got to a charactership was him being angry at Dolph Ziggler attacking Callisto. So, that's pretty much it. Like, Apollo Crews, he was announced on social media, on YouTube specifically, prior to Monday Night Raw, whereas SmackDown, they announced all their stars on Monday Night Raw. And if I get, and I'm pretty sure this video might be a little bit early in its production because, well, might not have included Talking Smack if they do pull surprises on there. But Apollo Crews' announcement came off as, well, why was Apollo Crews not announced during the show? Oh wait, he is getting announced during the show, so why just announce it on social media where no one cares? So, yeah, Apollo Crews' future looks like it's going to just continue where SmackDown left him at, except probably much worse. Rotting in mid-card town and doing nothing. At least he has a storyline in SmackDown. That's the only positive I can give him. And then Monday Night Raw officially started, and we got John Cena's music. And if John Cena moved to Raw, I was like, yeah, that would stop him from burying all of SmackDown most likely when he starts to do that again. Instead, we got The Miz and Maurice. And this was, oh god, was I mad about this. Miz and Maurice leaving SmackDown to go to Raw. I was mad because I didn't want them to leave. I wanted them to stay on SmackDown because they are the most entertaining aspect of SmackDown, and especially since they did the John Cena and Nikki Bella impersonations. Like, that's up there with DX's impersonation of the McMahon family. Like, it's up there, except without the profanity, the holy shit moment they did with Vince McMahon, Shane, and the Spirit Squad. But, yeah, I wanted them to stay on SmackDown. They felt like they moved to SmackDown to get a better opportunity. And this is a major blow to SmackDown because they just lost their top heel. Like, you could say, oh, AJ Styles is the top heel, but really, when people are cheering for him on a daily, nightly basis, and there are no boos whatsoever, even when AJ Styles dismisses them, yeah, I can safely say he's a face just trying to act like a heel. So he could be somewhere in the middle. But Miz and Maurice leaving, that's a major blow. Like, Talking Smack always got entertaining whenever the Miz was on there. Yeah, he wasn't on there a lot. He was on there like 4 or 5 times. But, wait, 4 times, I think. Yeah. And the Miz and Maurice always delivered in their segments. And now to see them leave, it's going to be a major blow to SmackDown since they just lost their top guy in the heel department. And I want him to go after the WWE title eventually. On Raw, okay, I know it's going to sound like I don't care about Raw, because I generally don't. Because there's a lot of ideas they did that really, really will... Considering how Raw is, it doesn't help its track record. So... yeah, it doesn't help me that the Miz and Maurice might go back to what they were doing before the draft, since there's no Raw talk where they can't be more free to talk whatever they want, and they probably will just go back to, oh, they're going to be the talk show guys. We are losing Jericho, so we need to get the Miz. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they moved him, because Chris Jericho's leaving after Payback, and... that spells, yeah, he's leaving, so we're going to get The Miz. And that's really unfair for me. Why? Why does The Miz have to leave? So, and Maurice came with him because, well, it's his manager and wife. But in that same segment, we got the Intercontinental Champion, Dean Ambrose, joining the Raw brand, which was... okay, he just took the Intercontinental title, so does that mean the Intercontinental title is going to be worthless to Raw again, like they did with the US title? I mean, like, look at the US title. It wasn't doing so well when Chris Jericho and Roman Reigns were holding it. Rusev did something with it, but Roman Reigns treated it as a prop. Chris Jericho, well, he only had it for like 2 months. And that's it. Kevin Owens, it looks like he was getting a shot in the arm for it, but we won't know how his reign goes. So Dean Ambrose taking the IC title, and let's be honest, the IC title was kind of floundering around for a bit. After Miz lost it, it kind of just floundered. Like, Miz treated it with such high regard and treated it as important, whereas Ambrose, he doesn't seem to generally care. He just holds it. Like, he's proud of it, I bet, but he doesn't show that he's proud of it. You know what I'm saying here? But, yeah, Dean Ambrose, it looks like The Miz and Dean Ambrose are going to resume their feud from what happened earlier this year. Considering that Dean Ambrose dropped him with a Dirty Deeds after finding out that The Miz was actually The Miz because Dean Ambrose is being booked like an idiot. Yeah, that's my one concern. But Dean Ambrose back, well... since Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins don't leave for SmackDown, that means the Shield might one day reunite. So there's hope for that. Oh, and I must also add Jinder Mahal gave Finn Balor a concussion. Yeah, just after he got back. So later on in the night, we saw a secret addition added to Raw. And he is known by everyone in this world as the Drifter. Yeah, like I said, I barely had watched NXT except for their takeovers. I just let their promos do the talking for me, what happened. And Elias Sampson, I generally did not really care because, like, I was thinking, like, when I first saw him, I was thinking, is he going to be their Jeff Jarrett? Just smash people over the head with a guitar? Oh, wait, he's not doing the guitar maneuver? Okay. At least that would have been cool. Though, of course, WWE probably will try and say, yeah, no. And someone joked on Twitter that, that Jeff Jarrett found the Hardy Boys after their whole contractual dispute issue, and especially the broken gimmick. And also, he didn't really debut like every other debut wrestler last week. He more like just drifted around. Probably a highlight what's going to happen to him. But I'll get to that. I'll continue on him further later on. Now we get Kurt Hawkins. He is now officially part of Raw, and he cut a promo. And when he was mouthing off, I was expecting Apollo Crews to show up to justify that. Oh, he's going to show up. Nope, it's the Big Show. And Kurt Hawkins wants to hug the Big Show and then gets punched in the face with a knockout. And I'm like, yep, that sums up his entire run with Raw now. What's he going to do? Like, he's not going to do anything. He just, Big Show just put him in his place where he's going to be at from now on. So, Finn Balor, later on, Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. Like I said, Jinder Mahal gave Finn Balor a concussion. It got reported just today on the time of this video's production during SmackDown. And, oh boy, Jinder Mahal's going to get heat. But yeah, during this, after Jinder Mahal was beaten by Finn Balor, we got the most shocking guy to join Raw, and I was pissed off immensely. Like, I thought the Miz and Maurice couldn't be the ones that'd be top, but no, we got Bray Wyatt. Okay, there's so much wrong with that for scenario. Okay, let me sum it up perfectly. He's feuding with Randy Orton in a House of Horrors match, which WWE sent out a survey asking, what do you want the match to be? Because we have no ideas what to do with that. Yeah, you probably should not have came up with a match like that. You should have just ended it at WrestleMania. Save Bray Wyatt some further burials. But yeah, Bray Wyatt is on Raw. I am severely pissed off. Like, it's tragic because I was hoping when the House of Horrors match was announced that Bray Wyatt would beat Randy Orton and regain his title because he should have still kept that belt. And it's still saying that it's still going to happen this time at Payback. So I'm thinking, oh god, Bray Wyatt's going to lose because it's clearly obvious. Because, let's see, Brock Lesnar is the Universal Champ. He's still part of Raw. He wasn't traded. And add to the fact that he has the Universal title and still part of the Raw brand, Bray Wyatt's going to lose the match. And then he's most likely going to feud with Finn Balor. And we all know Finn Balor's not going to take a loss yet, after being back so soon. So Bray Wyatt is back where he started before the draft, which was just doing floundering around and losing every match and every feud. Yeah, like, that is what ultimately pissed me off. Like, Bray Wyatt leaving Raw was a huge mistake. I mean, leaving SmackDown was a huge mistake, because at least then it would have given us hope that Bray Wyatt would get revenge on Orton. But no, we're not going to get that. It's going to be Randy Orton perseveres and beats Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt moves to Raw and just flounders around, since he's most likely going to fight Finn Balor, and then Finn Balor's going to win, and then afterwards cut promos saying he's the demon, he's the dangerous man. Like, Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt, that's a match I would love to see. But Bray Wyatt's fangs have been chipped again, just when they are finally growing long again, after defeating two of the top guys on SmackDown. John Cena and AJ Styles, Randy Orton brought in WWE Creative Department, chipped them down again. Especially with a third WrestleMania loss in a row. I'm convinced that they hate him at this point. Like, I would not be surprised if Vince hates Bray Wyatt because Dusty Rhodes came up with that character and not him. So he's punishing Bray Wyatt because he can't punish Dusty Rhodes for a reason that I will not get into. Yeah, I don't feel like doing that. Yeah. So, afterwards, during an 8-man tag team match between the Hardy Boys, Cesaro and Sheamus against The Club Anderson and Gallows teaming up with the Shining Stars. Wow, that's the level you're going to put them at, Vince? They're on the level of the Shining Stars? Wow, you just really hate them. Like, you hate the wrestlers from Japan, don't you? Thank God Shinsuke's on SmackDown. Imagine what would have happened if he was on Raw. But, moving on, it was revealed that Kalisto would move to Raw. Okay, he doesn't really have that much potential. He's most likely he's going to be in the Cruiserweight division. So, there's virtually all that. Like, he could become Cruiserweight champion, but becoming Intercontinental champion or World champ or Universal champion, yeah, I don't see that happening, like, at all. Especially since he's on the weight of Brock Lesnar's shoulder regarding the Universal belt. Oops, I said belt. Vince might get triggered. And then it was also announced that Heath Slater and Rhino would join the tag team division of Raw. So remember that huge storyline with Heath Slater where he was given this big storyline to get a job on SmackDown? He worked so hard for it. Consider that negated. Like, he could have just waited a couple of more months after WrestleMania and, well, got traded because I'll get to that later in the video because of what happened. So, during the 8-man tag team match, we see Samson again, this time at the announcer's booth, just holding his guitar, just walking around, and then disappearing. Never brung up again. Which highlights that that's probably how far Elijah Sampson's going to go. Like, he said he was going to piss the whole world off because he wanted to be hated. Which I could commend because he wants to get heat since he's a heel and everything. But, yes. Why can't Roman Reigns do the same thing? Especially after fans chanted, "You deserve it," after Braun Strowman brutally destroyed him. And what could be actually deciphered as almost attempted murder. Yeah. Oh, and when the part where you see a commenter on YouTube say that he wishes Roman Reigns and his daughter get stabbed and shot, this is why WWE kind of hates us. Because of the small minority of guys who yearns for the wrestlers to actually die and their entire family. Like, I know I'm getting off topic here, but if you have a problem with Roman Reigns the character, that's fine. If you have a problem with Roman Reigns the person, okay, I can understand that because the whole "I'm just a guy getting rich" attitude, especially when he's supposed to be a face, didn't really help much and didn't really help public opinion. Okay, that I can understand that, but wishing he and his quote waste of space daughter dies? You might need to be checked into an asylum. And I don't mean the Ambrose Asylum. That would be too easy. So, yeah. Now, after the 8-man tag team match, we get another women's segment featuring Sasha Banks and Bayley. All wanting to cooperate and establish a friendship of treachery, most likely eventually, because that's clearly going to happen. And Sasha Banks wants to challenge Bayley for the women's title of Raw. Then we get a new selectee, Alexa Bliss. And eventually, Alexa Bliss does, and including Alexander the Great, who's on Twitter and comments on SmackDown a lot, is going to move to Raw now because Alexa Bliss is there. Yeah. But, yeah, Alexa Bliss is now on Raw, and considering how she was floundering during her time as the second reign as women's champion, I think at this point she needed a change of scenery. But she's not going to get all that change of scenery because Mickie James is there. And, oh boy, these two are most likely going to continue their war with each other, which means 2 women programs. Yes, that's going to be a disaster for Raw. However, before Mickie James could continue her frustrations against Alexa Bliss, who showed a really funny disgust look. They get attacked by Nia Jax, and Alexa Bliss just pushes Sasha in front of Nia Jax, and Nia Jax destroys them. And Ryan Delbert of Bleacher Report said on Twitter that he would love if Alexa Bliss was that character that would sick Nia Jax on the other women and sneakily climb her way to the top of the mountain and become the queen of the division, using Nia Jax as her weapon. Unconditional, without loyalty. She would just use her as a weapon. So I would honestly say, yeah, Alexa Bliss has potential as a women's wrestler on Raw. Let's just hope she's actually used instead of having one women's program and it's the same match over and over and over again every couple of weeks with some variations to them and trading the belt back and forth. Yeah. So Alexa Bliss and Mickie James are on Raw. Mickie James is most likely going to go after the women's belt eventually, but after he finishes her war with Alexa Bliss. And then it was announced after Raw that we would get a commentary trade. WWE has traded Brian Saxton of Raw for David Otunga. Yeah, I got no comments. Like, Brian Saxton, like, okay, he's not the best announcer. He's not Mauro Ranallo. He's not Jim Ross. He's not Jerry the King Lawler. He's not even Corey Graves. But he's alright for me. A little cartoonish and childish at times, but alright. I just really hate the whole bullying they do to him. Like, I get when the heel commentator does it, but even the face commentator does it. Michael Cole does it. Corey Graves I get because he's a heel, but Michael Cole joins in on the insults. And I think I said this in my Survivor Series video back in 2015, that Michael Cole directly said during an episode of Raw that, but nobody likes you. And I'm like, okay, I gave Corey Graves said that, or JBL, I mean, but why is Michael Cole saying that? Does he not really like him? But, yeah, Brian Saxton is moving to SmackDown, so he traded one fake bully for a real bully. Yeah, I could address the elephant in the room, but let's just say, okay, I'll just say this. Bad publicity, PR disaster, fire JBL to do damage control. Especially the Be A Star campaign to be making them hypocritical. Okay, there, that's it. And David Otunga moving to Raw is like, yeah, he's barely subpar. He's subpar for me. Like, I can't remember one thing about David Otunga. Yeah. And plus, yeah, that's pretty much it for David Otunga. Like, he's subpar for me. Now, we get SmackDown! But let me go back to Raw for a second. Yeah, I know I was really biased towards SmackDown and Raw because I like SmackDown more than Raw currently because Raw just does everything wrong. Like, after Roman Reigns' big 5-word promo, after that nefarious, destructive chants of hatred from the fans for retiring the beloved legend, they still push him as a sympathetic face. Okay. Now, I can barely get why they would push him as a face, still a sympathetic one, before WrestleMania. He just retired The Undertaker. Clean. How are you going to make him sympathetic? You can't make him sympathetic. Yeah, so I'm not really confident of how WWE handles the influx of SmackDown talent, but I get the feeling I might know what's going on here. Like, Vince might still have this philosophy that Raw is the A show still, no matter how good SmackDown is better than them. And he's using SmackDown like he would have done with NXT with Curtis Axel and Tyson Kidd, a rejuvenation center. Like, think about it. Bray Wyatt was getting completely rejuvenated. The Miz and Maurice were completely rejuvenated. Dean Ambrose was sort of getting rejuvenated. And Alexa Bliss was on fire at one point. Heath Slater was getting huge momentum at one point. And Kalisto was doing something beyond being a cruiserweight. Doesn't it seem kind of weird that they all seem to be rejuvenated on SmackDown and they're going to Raw where they are in desperate need to get back up there against SmackDown in terms of creative direction-wise? I just feel like that's what Vince looks at them as, a rejuvenation process. And I'm pretty sure he would have looked at that in NXT had Curtis Axel worked out before Axelmania happened. So let's announce the first SmackDown superstar from Raw, and it's Jinder Mahal! Yeah, he's continuing his war with Mojo Rawley. What does that say about him? Yeah, let's get to the real guy. Welcome to the Kevin Owens Show, everyone! Kevin Owens is now part of SmackDown, and this is a great acquisition. Because not only will this mean the US title will get a huge rejuvenation process, hopefully, and not flounder like it did with the Intercontinental belt when Dean Ambrose held it, it will be great for Kevin Owens to get rejuvenated. Because considering what they did to him on Raw, make him the Kevin Owens everyone wanted him to see at the last minute and then leave, yeah, that wasn't a good idea. They should just cut their losses and just moved him to SmackDown after he lost the Universal belt. And yeah, this also makes a complication. Kevin Owens has repeatedly said he is owed a rematch for the Universal belt. That means they're delaying Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar, or they're going to think the fans are incredibly dumb and we're just going to forget about it. I picked the latter. So, yeah, Kevin Owens, you gotta shave. Oh, man. It looks kind of weird for me. Like, I've always seen him as the bearded guy, but now you gotta shave. Okay? But that also means it's the end of the potentially new two-man power trip, Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. And it's also announced that if Chris Jericho wins the United States Championship at Payback, since that match is still going, he will replace Owens on SmackDown and Owens will go back to Raw. I think. I could be wrong on that. So, there's a huge potential with Kevin Owens, but if he loses the US belt, which is highly unlikely because Chris Jericho is going on Fozzy soon, Kevin Owens is heading back to Raw and heading back to square one. But meanwhile, the US title will get a huge rejuvenation process. Hopefully. I hope they didn't change the writers. Let's hope for that. So, yeah. Kevin Owens has huge potential being on SmackDown, and they started out right. Like, Kevin Owens looks pretty intimidating, though he really needs the beard. He just looks really weird for me. But I do have to say, I don't like his anti-American attitude. Like, really? We have Neville doing that already. Do we really need an anti-American attitude, especially with the whole current events going on between Syria, Russia, Trump? Yeah, I don't think they want that right now. So Kevin Owens is on SmackDown, and joining him after Baron Corbin called Kevin Owens out, I mean, we get Sami Zayn. When Nuclear Armageddon eventually happens, the two remaining survivors will be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fighting in the Hell's Landscape and battling out till their eventual demise. Yeah, but everyone wanted Sami Zayn on SmackDown because SmackDown at this point could fix anything and turn into a star or make really prestigious. And Sami Zayn going to SmackDown is huge. Like, oh my god, don't they actually listen to us? Especially after what happened on that Raw episode where Mick Foley said he would trade Sami Zayn to SmackDown and everyone was chanting, yes! Thank you, wrestling gods! Yeah, like, they didn't care if he got traded with Eva Marie. He at least would have been on SmackDown. Oh man. And Sami Zayn was in the main event of SmackDown for once. Yeah, that's saying something. He lost, but there's still hope. There's a huge hope for him on SmackDown compared to what they did to him on Raw. So long as they don't keep doing with the wrestling nerdy thing they're doing, like it's kind of annoying, and and from what we heard, it's still kind of about that whole heat for no reason because fuck you mentality that he has against him. Yeah, that was never explained. They just say, oh, we don't like you for some reason. Turn him into a geek. Let's hope SmackDown gets him a fresh start. Now we got, during a tag team match between the Usos and American Alpha, after the Usos retained their belts, we got another arrival. The Shining Stars. Boo. Why? Because it was rumored prior to that we would get Anderson and Gallows reuniting the club. But it looks like they're going to say Balor Club instead. Even though Finn Balor is the face. Because that was also rumored. The club would reunite on SmackDown Live since AJ Styles was staying. And they pretty much said, oh no, that's not going to happen. You're going to get the Shining Stars. So that's going to boost to the tag team division. Not the ass kickers who love making green and could really use a rejuvenation process on SmackDown. But yeah, the Shining Stars, like, they had a finisher for once, as far as I remember. I don't recall them ever using a finisher before when they were still getting a push that lasted a week. Yeah, no, not kidding. Like, look on the articles of WrestlingRumors.com. Like, it literally said Vince gave up on them after a week. Okay, just turn them into disgruntled workers who feel like they're offended that they had to be given a stereotype gimmick. Okay, that could work. And along with that, we got the bullshit moment. And why I say that? Because a free agent was sent to SmackDown as opposed to a Raw Women division talent. Why? Okay, during this segment with where Shane was going to address the state of the women's division, there was a lot of word going around that both Charlotte and Sasha Banks would move to SmackDown. Now, okay, Sasha Banks still has one more storyline that's apparently slow burning, and that's her war with Bayley eventually, and it's said to be planned for SummerSlam. So I was curious, are they really going to change her up to over to SmackDown, or are they going to really just pull a swerve and take Emma? Nope, we got Tamina, who is a free agent beforehand since she was injured and wasn't drafted. Therefore, Raw just did a fuck you moment to SmackDown. Oh, God. And I get why Tamina was sent to SmackDown instead of Raw, because they already have one beast in Nia Jax, so they could send Tamina with... And there's still some unfinished... There's potentially unfinished business between her and Naomi since they were partners before Tamina went injured. So, this was her first appearance back. And then we got announced... Then, well, Shane had been trolled the fans at first, but then everyone was chanting Charlotte, unfortunately, and then Shane said, Charlotte Flair! And that, I think, kind of... Everyone was liking it, but at the same time they said we want Sasha, not Charlotte. Now, Charlotte, that was a little surprising. I thought she was going to go after the Raw Women's title. Like, I knew about it, but I really wouldn't think they did it, because Charlotte doesn't have any issues right now, other than her robotic acting. But, well, if John Cena can do it, I'm pretty sure Charlotte can too. But my question was, well, The only matchup she can actually have good right now is with Becky Lynch. Like, we haven't seen her with the other women. Like, Natalia didn't work out. But, yeah, it's now 6 women. Oh, wait, there's one more. I'll get to her in a minute. Then it was announced during Ty Dillinger versus, what's his face? Aiden English. Scotch was, released, therefore ending the potential of a Becky Lynch, Eric Rowan, and the vaudevillain steampunk group for Ryan Delbert. Yeah. Simon Gotch. Apparently it was his backstage altercation with Sin Cara was what happened. Yeah, kind of ironic that they're keeping Sin Cara. And speaking of Sin Cara, that's who got traded to SmackDown. Yeah, who cares? Okay. Rusev Crush is heading to SmackDown. Now I get why they didn't have him show up. He's injured, got surgery on that back in March, and won't be back until later on this year. So Rusev, I get why, but hopefully he gets a huge rejuvenation process as well, and really comes out on top on this. So Rusev, best of luck to you. But we got a surprise. We got a third woman to join the SmackDown division. Lana. She was announced separately. Like, when I first heard Rusev was only coming to Raw, I was coming to SmackDown, I thought, wait, does that mean Lana's staying on Raw? Like, she has been saying she's been training, but would they really separate the married couple? I mean, like, Vince is petty and did punish Lana and Rusev for announcing their engagement. How selfish of them! Falling in love and announcing and wanting to spend the rest of their lives together. I should know! I cheated on Linda multiple times with Trish Stratus! In storyline purposes. Yeah, that was it. Oh, there's a bunch of sex allegations against me, but that's beside the point. I'm Vince Kennedy McMahon, damn it! So Lana got a vignette, and it looks like she's getting a new gimmick. Probably the Emelina gimmick that would have been, and Emelina's debate sucked, so yeah. So it looks like Emelina is going to be Lana now, and Lana's going to be, well, getting this new style. Well, she's going to wrestle, but I don't know if she's going to continue managing her husband. But we don't know about that. Lana could be a huge asset to the women's division. She got only one match throughout her entire career, on WWE at least. I don't know about if she was working in the independent scene. But yeah, that was her first match on WWE back at WrestleMania 32. She hasn't wrestled since, and now is training for a possible full-time role. So let's see how Lana turns out. Now we get to the final 3 of the SmackDown Live roster. The New Day, New Day, New Day, New Day. Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. Okay, that was a steal from Raw. Like, you traded one superstar for 3 guys. Okay, that was a huge steal. I don't know who you traded. Pretty certain it was David Otunga. But you traded... Okay, there were only 2 or 1 on Raw that were traded. A team and a singles competitor. You got 3 guys. 1 who's a breakout star eventually, and 2 mid-card tag team guys. Or a potential mid-card and manager, but right now they're stable still. But yeah, the New Day is going to be on SmackDown now, and I don't know how long this stable is going to last, so SmackDown got 3 superstars. And like I've been saying, the New Day was starting to get stale when they turned face because it just didn't feel the same. But then they started getting momentum with the Wyatt family, the match stopped with the draft. And then they just floundered around for a bit after they lost the tag team belts. Then they became the host of WrestleMania this year, and it was alright for me, but they're just not as charismatic as The Rock when he was the host of WrestleMania 27, which still sucks. Yeah. So the New Day is going to be awesome. I don't know how long this faction is going to last, but it looks like it's going to be here for a little bit longer than I thought. Let's hope they get a rejuvenation process as well. But I'm pretty certain Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods eventually later on this year are going to go their separate ways. So they have a big star in Big E, and they have two big mid-card guys in Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston is still injured due to an ankle injury at the hands of the Revival. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. That's why they did a vignette instead of a actual in-ring debut or a promo. So it's best to like to see this all happen. Now, it's curious as to know what's gonna happen with the with all this. Like, there were words going around that well, it looks like this is only going to be the draft this year, but there was word going around that, well, there might be a draft later on in the fall, an official draft, not a trade, which kind of seems a little confusing. Yeah. But ultimately, this looks like Raw might get the shot in the arm it needs, though really, with its creative team, I'm not really confident. Raw SmackDown seems to be rejuvenating all these guys, well, most of them at least, but and US belt. But I'm curious as to know what's gonna happen. I can't wait what's gonna go down with this. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome how this goes on for the coming months. So those were my thoughts on the 2017 WWE Superstars Shakeup. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.